Welcome back. Is Zoom an inflation-proof stock? Well, to start, it's a profitable company and it has had incredible growth in terms of profits over the last 2 years. But more on that and the reason why this growth is actually accelerating later in the video. And from a top-level perspective, we know that inflation is actually something that favors stable businesses that are actually growing and not being capital intensive, meaning you need a lot of money to make the product and increase your sales. And Zoom is a software company, meaning they don't really need a lot of capital to build infrastructures. They simply have this software and they get paid on a monthly basis to provide their products to their customers. And they've been recently doing very well from the point of view of growth. As you can see, there is this article saying Zoom zips ahead of Google Meet, Microsoft Teams and Skype in one ranking. And this article is from the 31st of March 2021, so very recent. It looks like Zoom is dominating most of the planet. As you can see from this chart, Zoom is mostly everywhere, mostly in the US, Russia I see as well, which is very interesting, quite a lot in Germany as well, and South America, Australia as well, so mostly everywhere basically, and it's on 37% of the countries versus Microsoft Teams being obviously the biggest challenger for Zoom, and it's 34%. And this is the bit that is the most interesting. We are looking at the market share. So Zoom has actually increased their market share from 26 to 48%, 22% between 2020 and 2021. Even Google Meet has increased, but who has lost most of their ground is actually Skype and Slack. They are both losing ground quite a lot. But a proper way to hedge yourself against inflation is to buy beaten up stocks. And guess what? Zoom is a beaten up stock as well. And this is today's chart for Zoom, and as you can see, today's price, if you go back to what it was the all-time high, we still have a 72% upside if we were to go back to the all-time high in October 2020. But let's just imagine that we do not go back to the all-time high. Let's just imagine that we go back to the high that we saw this year. So let's go back to, for example, the beginning of the year. That was January, and as you can see, this is the highest we saw. In September, we saw a 30% upside, guys. And so, am I the only one who thinks this is gonna be a very strong stock with high inflation? Well, actually, no. There is another investing guru, even call it investing fund, that is actually very poised in a positive way to buy and actually hold Zoom stock. And yes, I'm talking about Cathie Wood. And I must admit that Cathie Wood is not actually doing too well recently. But if we look at the latest portfolio that we can find on ARK Invest, and this is all their positions all together, not only one of the ETFs, these are all their ETFs together. So as we can see, Tesla, obviously they're making money, Teladoc, Coinbase, they are losing money, but then we have a quite big position. If we consider all their ETFs combined, they're actually losing money. These are actually the range of price they bought their Zoom stock, and at the moment they're actually looking at probably even buy even more if there are issues going forward, because they opened their position in 2021. They didn't open it in 2020. They actually waited quite a lot. But all of this is to tell you that Cathie Wood only invest in companies where she see a lot of growth going forward. And growth is what this company is about. Not only being a beaten up stock, but there is also a component of incredible growth in terms of revenues going forward. And that is what we're gonna look at now. And in fact, if we look at the growth, these are the estimates for the future. So for example, 2022, we see another 50% growth from today's revenue. 50% for a company that has already got a quite big revenues. We're talking about $2.6 billion that will turn into $4 billion in 2022, and then even 2023 growth from 4 to 4.7, 20% growth. And things may change very soon on this stock, so if you want to stay up to date on the latest news on Zoom or on my portfolio, because I obviously bought Zoom stock, well, this is the channel, because I will make more videos on Zoom stock if you like this video, obviously, and also if Zoom stock does well. But let's imagine the Zoom stock does not do well. It has very bad revenues, stuff like that, and it's actually losing ground. Well, they would have to invest more money money. So have they got cash in hand? That's the question we're gonna answer in just 1 second. And at the time of recording, Zoom has got actually $2.2 billion in cash. That's at the end of their latest earnings report. So they actually had more cash before than now. They have $2.2 billion, which is quite a lot. Obviously a good caution in case they have to go at war with other companies like Microsoft, Slack, Skype, Google, and so forth. So now let's focus on the negative side of Zoom, the red flags. What can potentially go wrong? Well, there are actually two things that we need to look at. The first one is that Zoom may not be able to come up with new ideas. At the moment, Zoom is mostly the software, obviously, to make calls and things like that over the internet, but that cannot be lasting forever. And this article actually tells us that Zoom has launched new Zoom events and other platforms and things like that that work actually with hardware as well, with Yearlink and Poly and is capable of HD video meetings. So there are actually new products coming out, but let's imagine that they are not doing well. Well, that's obviously one of the red flags. This is a company, a software company mostly, and so you have to imagine that their main product is the software. If that goes badly, if that starts losing ground against all the others, let's say Microsoft Teams being the first threat, well, in that case, that could be a big problem, a big red flag that might tell you to not buy. And then on top of that, there is obviously the possibility of a lower growth going forward. I see that the analysts are incredibly bullish on this stock. They think that it's gonna grow a lot. We're talking revenues, obviously not only the stock price, but on top of that, there is Cathie Wood, who is obviously incredibly bullish because they built a position just in 2021 when the stock was actually going down. But these future revenues is what makes Zoom an incredibly good stock. Hence why I bought it, and I'm gonna hold it to see if they keep growing as promised. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.